is Ruth Buzzy, and I'd like you to know how much I love the Knockem Dead radio show coming to you live on govsradio.com. Oh, you make me laugh. You really do. Oh, please. I can't do this anymore.
Tony, welcome to Go.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I gotta pat you down though, pal.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Got anything on you? Anything I should know?
I got nothing.
Anything weird going on?
What?
All right, you go in, Tony. Good.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tom Kelly of The Tom Kelly Show. Yes, this is not the only time I've gotten on my knees in the back room of a comedy club.
The Knockem Dead Comedy Radio Show is also brought to you by Two Eagles Auto Body. For more than 25 years, Two Eagles Auto Body has been the leader in auto body repairs and customer satisfaction on Long Island. Two Eagles Auto Body handles every type of auto repair, from custom applications and restorations to repairs involving insurance claims. Give Two Eagles Auto Body a call and please ask for John Rossi at 516-328-2527. That's 516-328-2527.
Hey, how do you say there, people? It's Johnny Brennan, creator of the Jerky Boys, also of Fox TV's Family Guy fame. I just want to let you know you're listening to Tony on the Knockem Dead radio show. They're gonna keep knocking them dead, so keep listening, you wacky sons of bitch. Right there. Over and out there, sweet Charlie.
Long time no see, man. Hey, man, I miss you guys, man, at Knockem Dead Comedy Radio.
Hey, Tony, you're not funny, and you probably shit yourself a lot, and you're no fun to be with, and you don't make that much money, and you're not going anywhere in show business, and I hope you get hit by a bus.
my sticks. The mic is live and clear for you and all to hear. Knockem dead. Knockem dead. Comedy show.
That works. Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Friday. Rosie's here. Rob Bartlett should be here any minute. Very excited. Rob Bartlett is one of the best. Welcome, everybody, to the Knockem Day Comedy Show. Thanks for joining us here on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching. Please share the link and tell everybody you know about all the great shows here on Gov's Comedy Club Podcast. Coming at you live from the legendary Governor's Comedy Club.
Now I know why you look familiar when I first met you. You're the micro machine guy, but you're bald now. Remember, he was like, oh my God, you're going to have the micro machines. You're going to have the little ones, the big ones, the little ones over here, the micro machines. Remember those commercials?
That was pretty impressive. Yeah, I do. Yeah, that guy was all over the place in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's probably dead now. All that talking.
He probably gets sick of hearing himself. I get here. I'm like, Fridays, I'm sick of hearing myself by
And you're
Fridays.
here at night, too?
I'm here all the freaking time.
Did you have like a Murphy bed?
What's that?
The ones that come out of the walls.
Oh.
I always wanted one of those.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
They're so
For
cool.
space?
Yeah,
Oh.
they just pop out and then they go back in, and then you're like, oh, I don't have a bed here.
I'm thinking like sexual. Like,
Well, that too.
but yeah?
Yeah, you just have one at the office. Oh, I don't have sex at work. I don't have sex at work. It's all women, brides. Like they don't.
You never had your husband or prior to your husband, somebody came in and, you know, had a little.
Never.
Come on, live a little bit.
No, maybe I'll. I don't know.
What's the craziest place you've ever done it?
Oh God, that's a very good question. Let me think.
Is it all right that I'm in all
Yeah,
seriousness?
it's fine.
That's okay.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to think.
Just want to make
I'll
sure.
come up with an answer before this show is over.
Are you familiar with the space in Westbury?
Yeah, that I saw.
I did it there, in one of the bathrooms.
Really?
Yeah, me and Sally. Yeah. It was her idea, so it was awesome.
Bet.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, it wasn't a public.
I saw Trombone Shorty there.
Nice.
But that's
He's great.
He's great. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I've ever done there.
But it wasn't like a bunch of stalls. It was a one-person bathroom. And you locked
and you
the
locked
door.
it, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is going on in there?"
We were like, "Take it easy. We'll be done in 30 seconds."
You're like, I'm busy putting my leg back on. You come out with an excuse.
I think he just knocked.
I did. I heard it.
You heard it?
It was simultaneous with my knocking.
Oh, nice.
He'll be right back. I'm useless without him. I'm just going to stare. So it's Friday. I have a show tomorrow for the first time in a month. I'm so excited. I don't know what I'm going to say because I feel like I forgot my entire shtick. Hi.
Rosie, Rob.
We have a comedy legend that just walked
Yes,
in.
we certainly do.
Oh, he's looking for him. He's right behind you. He'll be here in a minute.
Okay, good. How are you?
I'm good. Very nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, sir.
Welcome.
Why did you decide to upgrade?
Oh, well. Two obvious reasons. What? Energy and comedy. What? She's
These are the
great.
single most uncomfortable chairs.
No. You want to trade?
You want that
You
chair?
sure? Try this one.
No.
No, you'll like this one. Look, it's like Dr. Evil's chair. We're gonna trade.
No. That's a host chair.
No, it's not not a host.
You want me to switch with that one?
Can you please take my chair? You're gonna like it.
I'll give you that one. How about that one right there? You want that one?
I'll take that one.
Okay. I'll switch it over. I'll do it.
You know what? Will you redecorate? I noticed there were cups over there. Are there red?
Yeah, there's some red solo
May I
cups
have
over
one
here.
of those red solo cups while you're up doing?
Yes. You got it?
Oh, drinks? We're getting drinks?
I'm gonna steal some of that.
You get more guests if you had like mimosas or Bloody Marys.
I said that all the time. I think snacks would help.
Do you need a drink?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I would love some water. I forgot my drink today.
You don't have? Okay.
No, right there. I'll share. I'll
Yeah,
share.
This is much better.
I get my own bait.
Where did you get this furniture from? Next door at the flea market?
Is there
Jesus,
a lever
Palomino.
that-
No, it's not the lever, and it's not that because I'm sitting in a hole. It's
There's only 3 legs on that chair. He likes missing legs on everything.
well, obviously. Great TV, isn't it, folks?
We're putting together a new comedy bit. Oh, now he's wrecking the place. What is happening here?
I'm going to go on wayfair.com. I think they're
Okay.
having their annual sale still.
Now look at it. He's knocking stuff over.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
This is crazy.
What is happening?
I don't know.
I was a professional broadcaster. I know what I'm doing.
Oh, we knocked the camera over too. Wait a second.
What?
This camera right in front of you. No, this one. I don't know what's happening.
How's this camera now? Is it okay?
Yeah, that camera's great.
I feel like I'm in a fever dream right now. Are we all good now?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I want to be involved.
He's going to leave.
Just
I can
gonna go
feel
like
it. He's
this
just
for a
going to
while.
go home.
Okay.
You know what?
I mean, we can't have all couches like stand-up memories.
Screw you.
What happened?
I was going to say Tony, screw you.
Oh, yeah. All right. And now he's out of breath.
Now
Great,
his
thanks,
collar's
guys.
all forgot.
Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Looks like you went on a wind tunnel.
I don't stop doing that. You're going to hurt yourself.
I like the delay. This is great.
Yeah, there's a 30-second delay, so you can watch yourself wrecking the place.
You could escape
Look
it
at
and
that,
nobody
look.
will know until 30 seconds from then.
That's true. You could shoot me and nobody would know for 30 seconds.
Well, welcome.
Wow, you're
Thank
good.
you.
Make yourself comfortable.
I think I have finally.
Now what's happening here? You've cleaned yourself out. You
I
shaved.
tried to lose rather than weight. I figured I'd lose years, so I decided I needed to look much younger because there's not much call. You don't get a lot of casting notices for Santa Claus types. So I cut the hair and shaved the beard, try to gain back some of my youth.
Okay.
Okay.
Did it work?
Obviously, it's working, folks.
The shaven Cheap Trick shirt that gets you more roles.
You know that it was Cheap Trick. See, this is why I like you.
I know my music, pal.
He's this was the silver.
Yeah.
The silver
The live
was
album.
just how I got back into my Cheap Trick fandom was watching them on the satellite. They had a special. It was the 25th anniversary, the silver concert, and they did it live in Rockford from their hometown in Illinois. And I thought, wow, this band is. How did I forget how great this band was?
They're great, yeah.
And then the rest is history.
Well, fine. Perfect segue. I'll show the picture of you on stage with Rick Nielsen.
That was quite the event. That was quite the event. I never had to prove my coolness to my son ever again. Once,
Is that right? Your sons are Cheap Trick guys?
well, they are now. They had no choice.
Right.
I mean, we planned a whole family vacation around a show out in
Wow.
in Ohio. I was sitting with him in the audience, and Tom Peterson walked to the edge of the stage and pointed at me and went, I turned to my son, I said, I think he knows me.
Yeah. How cool
And
is
he
that?
whispers in Rick's ear, and Rick does the same thing. And they knew me from Amos because we used to broadcast live from from MSNBC.
Right.
And so went backstage, and then they go out for the encore, and he calls me out on stage.
Wow.
I did this, little impromptu, this should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame kind of thing. And then he puts this gold sparkle, what's this?
Gibson.
Yeah, it's a Les Paul around my neck. And I don't play guitar, but I can air guitar like anybody. And they launched into Dream Police. And so I'm
Nice.
pretending I'm playing and just came out. I'm on stage with Cheap Trick,
Yeah.
And it gets to that middle part in Dream Police.
Oh, the speaking part?
The rap part. And Rick goes,
oh, shit. And you knew it.
I nailed it. And they went nuts because they couldn't believe it. They thought they were like,
Yeah.
But it was just so great.
Wow. You have video?
No.
Oh.
I have video of me and them when they did Imus because I got them on Imus. They came to MSNBC and did the show, and I was able to do Dream Police wasn't there, but I did it as Bill Clinton because I had to be in character on Imus. I couldn't just be myself. I wasn't allowed. But yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet. And to be recognized by them, that's insane.
Yeah, it was like, it's a weird thing when famous people, people you admire, whatever, and they go, well, I know who you are. I did a reading, one of the first readings was actually a workshop of Honeymoon in Vegas, the musical with Tony Danza. And I was waiting for the elevator. He came in and went, he goes, I know who you are. Well, Tony Danza knows who I am.
Wow.
It's just weird, It's just one of the
that is weird, yeah.
One of the cool things about being...
Yeah. I mean, Rosie's been hosting me for a few months. She still doesn't recognize me, Friday nights.
No, not unless you put those things around your head. It's like so weird. Thank God you put them on, or
Yeah, right. I walk around with these on, then people know.
So who made the programming decision to improve the lineup here? I mean,
but with Rosie, me.
I was a guest.
Yeah.
I was a guest, and we had so much fun that we said, let's do this
I
again.
put her on the spot right during the show on the air. I said,
Wanna do
will
this
you
on
do this every
Fridays?
week?
I said, yeah, I got nothing to do on Fridays.
Right.
Sure.
That's the whole story.
I was kind of hoping for something more.
No.
I wasn't sure if he was awake.
I should know. It's Tony. You get what you pay for, folks.
I was voted most likely to host my own talk show.
Is that right?
Yeah.
In high school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Was that the early 50s or?
It was, it was like the late 50s.
He can ask that because he goes back to the slates.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cuneiform, if you don't mind.
The what?
Cuneiform.
Is that what it's called? I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, just forget it.
As usual.
Do a Times crossword puzzle every once in a while. Jesus, Palomino.
Hey, before we forget, and I hope to remember to do it throughout the show, May 22nd, head on over to the Huntington Cinema Art Center in Huntington and go check out the stand-up sit-down event because they will be standing up and sitting down with this gentleman right here. And it's going to be a great time. I guarantee that.
Is that the roasty thing?
The roasty thing, yeah.
The roasty thing is kind of like an afterthought, I think. They try to squeeze as much out of you ahead of the roasty thing, but then they get comics to show up and they don't have to pay them so that they
exactly
they do the roast thing at that point.
So who's going to be there?
Who's going to be there? Well, they're talking to Mr. Bartlett that night. He's the man of the hour. Yeah.
I'm not doing stand up though. I'm not because I've already done one where I've done stand up and then Stephen Talbot's interviewed me. This is they tried to figure out a way that they could make it something that people would actually want to go to. It's a career retrospective / tribute to my 45 years in the business, and
it's almost like a living wake.
It's exactly what it is. It's like I'm going to be attending my own memorial, which is great,
right?
Because I don't know. I mean, the first time I'm actually saying this in public. I do have a terminal disease, and there's no cure. I'm trying to start some kind of a charity for it, but natural causes is one of the biggest killers. So let's fight natural causes, boys and girls. Let's do our best. And so we're running clips. We're going to run clips of all the stuff I've done on Imus and Broadway and TV, and I found some stand-up stuff from the early 90s.
Nice.
Rosie O'Donnell's stand-up sit-down. Not stand-up sit-down.
That's what this is called,
It's the VH1.
Oh, the half-hour comedy
Spotlight.
hour. Oh,
Stand-up
VH1 Spotlight. Right.
Caroline's comedy hour. So I got this like grainy footage of me still doing dogs at a cocktail party, by the way.
What on Broadway?
I did... I was in Chicago a number of times as Amos, because that show, they bring you back and forth all the time. They reuse people when they're in a pinch. And I did the original cast of the Little Shop of Horrors revival.
I love that show. I just went with my son and my nieces last Christmas, was it? And they absolutely went nuts. And I went in the 90s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was fantastic. And then those things came down at the end and scared the living shit out of us.
Yeah.
That's how it ends.
We were the first Broadway production, and we got murdered by the critics because they had a fond place in their heart for that off-Broadway production.
But when was it?
2003.
Was the original?
No, the original was in the late 80s.
Right. That's when I went.
Right, I'm saying, but we were Broadway. We did a Broadway production of it. It had never been on Broadway.
Oh, I think I went to off-Broadway.
Yeah, if things came down from the ceiling, yeah. Because ours was, they had a actual mechanical Audrey 2 that went out into the audience from the stage, which was really kind of cool.
That's how it is on the one I just went to.
Well, they stole everything. Stole everything from us.
Scared my niece so bad she was crying. Thank God it was the
Well,
end.
the best part is during that last number, from the stage, you could see the audience. And I wish I had a nickel for every time I saw like a kid running up the aisle, try to escape the Audrey 2. I did Odd Couple with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick, and
it just so happens I have a picture of that
with Christina Applegate. And then the last thing I did was How to Succeed in Business with Daniel Radcliffe first, and then it was Nick Jonas.
Huh.
So,
all right, where is it? I have pictures.
How was Christina Applegate?
She's a force to be reckoned with. She's just an amazing human being. She had broken her ankle on out of town. I think they were in Boston, and couldn't go on. And they brought in Charlotte D'Amboise, and there was talk that she wasn't going to come into town with it, and they were going to cancel the whole show because without Christina Applegate, there was no, they wanted the name, obviously. And she just worked like crazy to rehab it, and then did 8 shows a week. And I used to watch her warming up at the beginning of every show, and it was unbelievable.
What did you send me here?
That's
oh my God!
That's supposed to make you laugh. Just a little something, something. I had a lot of time on my hands one day, but yeah, that's Nathan and Lee Wilkoff and me and Matthew and Brad Garrett, who, by the way, Brad Garrett is who I was replacing in Chicago. He was supposed to play Amos.
Right, because he got the Gleason movie, right?
Exactly. And they needed somebody in a hurry who could learn the part in 2 weeks. So,
which seems to be. That seems to be you, like learning stuff last minute or taking on a bunch of projects at the same time and nailing them all.
It's
insane.
Having no plan B, I think, is really kind of it's a survival instinct.
That's a lot of talent in that picture up there, man.
It was quite the experience, I gotta say.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I love Nathan Lane and I love Matthew. I mean, between the Birdcage and Ferris Bueller and War Games.
I'm sorry.
Incredible.
This is about me?
No, I know, I'm sorry. But you're surrounding yourself with so much talent that it speaks to you.
It was much better as a one-man show. I'll just say that right now.
Was it really? Was it?
No, were you nuts?
No, absolutely not. And I'm going to show the Huey Lewis picture. You mentioned Chicago.
Huey.
I worked with Huey Lewis once.
Really?
Isn't
he amazing?
Super guy. Yeah.
He is just incredible.
Now what I think of with Huey Lewis is Borat.
Borat?
You know the Borat movies?
I only saw the first
He
one.
was like, "This is my son, Huey Lewis."
Oh, I forgot all about that.
That's all I think of now.
That's when you hear that name. That's what you think.
What did you do with
my
him?
son, Huey Lewis.
I was in Scotland. One of my closest friends is a musician in England, and he was doing Scotland. They have St. Andrews. I don't know if you're golfers.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's like the
Isn't that
capital.
the oldest, most original
that's
golfer?
where it started, supposedly. I'm not a big golfer, so there was some big high-end charity event, and all these great golfers in the world were there. I'm not a golfer, so I had no idea. But my friend was the house band for the night, and I was just I was part of his entourage.
What a great experience.
Helping things out. And Huey Lewis was jumping up to play a few songs. Mike Rutherford from Genesis and Mike and the Mechanics, he jumped up, and Andy Garcia.
Oh, wow. Andy Garcia from...
a few things.
Just a couple movies.
Andy Garcia was smashed out of his head from the second he walked in.
Really?
I just told the story just a few days ago, but we're doing sound check. And the band's just playing, and all of a sudden some guy walks in. He's got this big fedora over his head. He's got a big overcoat like Columbo or something. And he's like just kind of stumbling in, and I'm eyeing him up. I'm like, does this guy belong here? I'm just kind of watching him. He doesn't say hi to anybody. He goes straight to the congas. There's a couple of congas set up. He sits right down, puts his jacket on it, and he's just...
It's always great when a Hollywood star shows up drunk.
Exactly. So as he's doing that, so you see the band, and the hat comes off. They realize it's him. So they stop after the song, and they go and say hi, and they go back to sound check. I'm telling you, the whole time. The show... so when the show was going on, same thing.
When your last name is Garcia and you see bongos, it's
exactly.
Like
it's in his DNA. But what happened was and again, this was a high-end charity event, so people are dressed to the nines, and there's all sorts of beautiful women and celebrities, and so every time a woman would stand in front of him to take a picture, like a selfie or something, because they wanted him in the shot, all of a sudden, so he went from this, and then there'd be a woman in the front, and then she'd take the picture and leave, and he's back to, I swear to you. And it was probably at this point around 2 a.m, and we go to take a picture with him. I was with my ex, Sally, who used to do the show with me. It was me and her, and we went to him, and Bon Jovi, the drummer from Bon Jovi, was there too. So it was the two of them were talking, and it was 2 a.m, like, all the professionalism's over. The night's almost over. So he's like, can we take a picture? So like, yeah, sure. So I hold the camera out, we take a selfie. Sally turns to Andy Garcia, and she goes, thanks. She just says thanks. He goes, oh, no problem. And he just rubs his hand on her tit. Just like, he literally just, you're welcome. And and he walks away.
It's a schmear.
Yeah. And I didn't know, I turned to Sally. I go, should I be mad? And she goes, no, it was Andy Garcia. Just like that. And I was like, okay. And that was it. I have the picture somewhere. I don't have it here, but yeah, I'll have to bring it. But,
that's great.
That's my Andy Garcia story. But Huey Lewis, from the second I met him that day, we immediately, because I'm a big baseball fanatic, so, and this was 2016, I think it was, the San Francisco Giants just knocked the Mets out of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big fan of Huey Lewis's work. And so I knew he was a Giants fan. Mm-hmm. So we immediately got into baseball, and we were talking about the playoffs. Super guy, but super professional without being a prima donna.
Unbelievable.
Right?
He is one of the single most down-to-earth people on the planet.
Yeah.
I had lunch with him when his show was still running on Broadway, Hard Rock and Roll,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jukebox musical. But it was really good because the story was one of those old-fashioned, stupid, check your brains at the door kind of stories, But everybody in it was really, really funny. It was terrific. And some of the choreography, they had a number where they did a dance on cardboard boxes that were flattened on the stage.
Oh, wow.
And they were sliding. It was unbelievable.
Oh, that's cool.
And then, of course, talk about a score. How many hits does he have, right?
Right.
Every single one of them is in this show. And so before, we went to the matinee, and apparently he was going to every show. And he just made the rounds, went to all the dressing rooms, went to the pit, and just said hello to everybody, and was backstage during the curtain calls. When they came off, they each got a high five.
Wow.
He had this ritual where he had a shot of something with the stage crew after the show. It was, everybody adored him.
Wow.
Because he's just that kind of a guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, without being condescending or prima donna, just a hell of a nice guy.
Really, really great.
So, and how much begging did you have to do to have lunch with him? We did a show together.
No. We stay in contact all the time.
Really?
Yeah. He did a little insert for that the podcast-a-thon we did for MS with John Poveromo. He did a little promo for that for me, nice. and just very gracious and down. And when he's in town, he gives me a call, and we text all the time. It's like same with Rick Nielsen. It's just I rub elbows with some major stars, but it's
and then you end up in here.
It's everyone's. You know why I do that? Honestly, seriously, Tony, is just so it makes the other thing that much better.
Yes,
knowing the really
understood.
famous people, it just knowing that it's
doing
so much
something
better.
of quality.
Right,
and
and so I appreciate it more after doing your show.
Understood.
She's a little slow in the uptake here.
I see the difference. Well, I didn't sleep last night. That's
Well,
what it is.
oh, you were having the sex?
No,
I sense a story.
Having the sex. No, I wasn't. I was on having the Instagram scroll from the non-being able to sleep.
I have no idea what you
Yeah,
just
exactly.
said.
I
She
don't either
couldn't
'cause
sleep,
I'm
and so she
tired.
went on her phone and scrolled through Instagram.
That's what I did.
Oh, but why couldn't you sleep?
I
is
just
what-
couldn't sleep. And I'm a sleeper. I just couldn't sleep last night. It was one of those nights. It's just my head was...
More importantly, how was your... You went to a lesbian bar since I saw you.
did.
How many women did you make out with?
I didn't hang out with any
Damn
women.
it.
I watched a lot of other women make out, and there was a lot of shenanigans going on, but it was fun.
It was fun.
It was a lot of queens. They were fun. They're the most fun.
Oh.
It was great.
Drag queens, is that what?
No,
is
just
that...
queens.
Oh.
Queens.
Okay.
It was great. We had a good time. It was a plan B for the event because the venue canceled
Right.
the day before on my
Right.
friend that was hosting this big event. And it wound up being better, I think,
Okay.
because it was a smaller space, so I kind of felt a little bit more filled in. Great time. Ended the night with like a scooped out bagel with tuna fish and a Dr. Brown's, and then I passed out. It was a
Dr.
great
Brown.
night.
Huey Lewis, Back to the Future. See that?
Well, he said to me, depending on when the Back to the Future show went up, their curtain calls were almost at the same time, and he was around the corner of his show, and Power of Love was being played at both simultaneously.
Oh,
in
that's
both.
wild.
It was an interesting thing.
That's a great show.
They asked him to use that, and they wanted him just to kind of let him use it. And he went, no.
Right.
And it was really, really funny. But it was just the same song played
That's
at the
cool.
same time on Broadway. You know, it's kind of cool.
Did you see that show, The Back to the Future on
I
Broadway?
did not.
It is fantastic.
Well, now they're both gone, right? Both shows, yeah.
Yeah, Huey Lewis's show closed, unfortunately, and it was a shame because it was really deserved a lot better.
I didn't even know there was a show that for that.
Yeah.
But The Back to the Future, my son and he just absolutely loved it. It was like you
It's a
felt-
spectacle.
It was.
Yeah.
It was really. It was
Most-
great. And the original the guy that now I follow him online, the guy that played the lead was so incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be playing. I feel like is he doing like a Frank Sinatra?
Oh.
He's going to be in the new Frank Sinatra Broadway. But,
Most Broadway
super
musicals
talented.
are spectacles with the most amazing, talented
They have
people.
to be. You
Yeah.
know, it's like what people expect. Also, because they're charging,
So
$200,
much
$300 a ticket.
Right.
You need to have the chandelier fall into the audience. You need to have the helicopter land on the stage.
Right.
And Back to the Future, it ended with the car going out over the audience,
Oh, wow.
completely flipping around upside down with the guys in it.
Yeah.
And then spun around to face upstage, and then took off into the stage with a big flash and disappeared.
Holy
Yeah,
cow.
It's awesome.
it was
Yeah.
supposed to be. I never got a chance to see it, but it's
and
running
I-
in London now. It's on the West End.
Oh,
I
is it? Yeah.
absolutely like. I didn't expect much.
Yeah.
I loved it just for the nostalgia of it.
Well,
and
yeah, sure.
and the music, and then they did the scene, like the prom scene under the
Right.
sea, and it
The
was just,
Enlightenment
It was
chant
great.
dance, yeah.
Yeah, the enchantment. It was
Enchantment, right.
very well done.
I saw, and this may sound funny, but I was so impressed with the performers. SpongeBob the musical.
I heard that was great.
Really,
It was fantastic because my daughter was, she
look
was.
a little like Squidward.
I look a little like
I'm
Squidward.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. You just have his eyes.
Okay.
I love you. This is what exhaustion does to me.
I'm surprised you haven't taken the glasses off so you can't see me.
I love looking at you. I
Hey,
look
right
forward
back
to my
at you,
Fridays
baby.
with you.
Nice.
I told you that. I didn't get to see you for your birthday. I left your birthday gift at home.
Oh.
I'm not.
Kisses and hugs. That's all I need.
Okay. All right. Well, that's after the show.
And he's got a. Oh, nice. I'm going to remember you said that. You have a birthday. May 22nd is the stand up, sit down, and your birthday is what, 3 days before that?
I'm touched and honored that you remembered.
I'm a stalker.
I know. I'm going to be 42.
Right. That was my next question. Yeah.
Me too.
It works for me. I've been that for about the past 10, 20 years.
Right.
It's worked well for me.
Yeah, we're more like 20.
So May 22nd in Huntington.
Yes, it's fantastic. They do a nice job there.
You going?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I am going, actually, yes. Only because Joey Cola said he was going. That's the only reason why. So I just went. They just did it for Richie Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
So all the like he said, comedians jump up and they say a few words. This man chose not to. Well, he said a little bit, but what he did instead, he had a video presentation. I have not laughed like that in years. I mean, the whole place. In fact, I just talked to Joey Cola Tuesday afternoon. I was on the phone with him, and it was the first time I've talked to him since. So I actually said that to him. I said, how about that movie from Bartlett? And Ice Radio, this is what Joey Cola said. He said, forget Carlin. He goes, forget all those guys. Nobody makes me laugh like Rob Bartlett does. That is what Joey Cola said.
Which just, I guess, makes sense because, he stole most of my act. So, I mean, without me, there is no Joey Cola, boys and girls.
This movie was like it was a documentary on Richie Burns' life, and he photoshopped Richie's face on a bunch of different scenarios.
I can imagine.
I'm telling you, the whole place was howling. I mean, I was to the point where like my stomach was hurting. I was laughing so hard. I'm sure it helps when you know the person.
Absolutely.
And that
there was
adds
a lot
to
of
it,
inside baseball jokes for people.
But it was still like even if you never met Richie in your life, you knew nothing about him. You would still be laughing. Pretty hard. I mean, it was just unbelievable, and the whole place, I'm telling you, was like falling down.
Like an apocryphal history. I'd done it a couple times before. I did one for Jerry Stanley, the booking agent, and I did one for a friend of mine, Donna Marie Asbury, who was in Chicago musical for 20-something years.
Wow.
And when she retired, I did one for her. And it was just a lot of fun to pull stills off the internet and little clips of video, whatever. And now with all these AI apps where you can do such amazing things.
Right.
I was able to make movie posters with, movies that supposedly Richie had made, like Too Poop to Pope. Butt Pirates 2. Boys Ahoy.
Kiki was in that with him.
Which was,
without a doubt, yes.
Well, I think it's the best of the trilogy because it answered all those questions that were posed in Butt Pirates 1.
Those cliffhangers.
Butt Pirates 1, Maiden Voyage. Butt Pirates 2, Boys Ahoy. And then
Classic shit,
Butt Pirates 3, Buried Treasure.
I could listen to this all day. Now, and going back to, we're talking about Broadway and stuff. So, first off, all these clips, are these the clips that are going to be used on May 22nd?
Some of them, yeah.
All right, so basically you don't have to go then. Just watch this. I want to show a clip.
That must be so exciting when that curtain goes up and you hear the audience and you hear the orchestra and you know that you're about, I always used to sit there my father was very big into taking us to see shows.
Oh, nice.
He started a theater group in Brooklyn.
Oh,
that's
really?
Still in existence with friends when he was younger.
How long ago was he taking you to shows?
Since I was as young as used to take me every year.
Oh, so Rob was in them probably.
Oh, yeah. We saw everything. He took me to see Bernadette Peters in Song and Dance, and he would make me wait outside and, meet her and talk to her. And, I saw Into the Woods. I saw, what's his name? Was it?
Rob Bartlett.
No, I saw De Niro in a one-man show, Huey. He used to take me to see, I saw Blue. I saw tons of different off-Broadway shows, and I really got to appreciate it. And I used to sit there and just say to myself, isn't it amazing that these people do this sometimes twice a day,
right?
And they act as if they've never done it before. Like, this is the most enthusiastic group of people. And they're so happy, and they wave to the audience at the end, and they take their bow, and they look like, and I'm just like, this is so incredible, and they love it, and you can see that they love it, and I think anybody that can find that has the natural talent and puts the work in, and they don't make a lot of money,
right?
For what they do and the amount of effort and sweat and it's just. I just think it's incredible. I just think that it's really impressive.
Really? There was a question there?
No, I'm just telling. I think it's
I think it started with a question. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, how did you feel when you were up there?
Well, what you just said about that feeling in it as an audience member, that's exactly what it's like because it's live. You know, I mean,
there's nothing like that live feedback.
Yeah, I mean, it's different from stand-up in a weird way because it's more of a community effort. I think that's what's for me the best part.
Yes,
like,
I
love
agree.
the rehearsal process.
Me too.
The actual coming together of all the different artists, artistic people to the designers and whatnot to actually create something that now you're in this special club.
Watching that chemistry kind of come together and build. Yeah.
And, but backstage listening to the overture, it's like you get that. There's something about it, How to Succeed, I used to stand backstage with John Larroquette before the opening number, and they would play the overture. And, theater people, for some reason, are very superstitious. I don't know why. But he would stamp his foot exactly 3 times at one point in the overture. So I started to join him. We would do it together at every show. But it's so much... I don't know, there's just that, I think that give and take with a live audience is just some, I mean, don't get me wrong, TV is great, but you got to wait 2 months before you actually get the benefits of what you've done, so it's.
TV fascinates me, any film, because the process is just so slow. There's so many people, I don't know how they make money. There's hundreds of people, it seems like it takes forever to just do one scene. I'm always fascinated by it.
Especially now, with all the streaming and all the competition,
Well,
and the fact that nobody's going to theaters and theaters are closing, and but I mean, back in the day when you would look at it and you go through the paper and you'd be like, "What am I seeing tonight? E.T.,
a paper,
Rocky, or Annie, and it was all coming out of the same week, and it was like you would go.
I miss the events
and wait online to get your tickets.
It used to be an event to go see these movies. I remember the Michael Keaton Batman, the line would be around the block. I missed that.
You had to get there earlier. It was sold out. And that was it.
Like Jaws. I remember when Jaws first came out, it was like that, Yeah. And Star Wars was playing at the Hicksville Duplex, which is now the IKEA on Hicksville Road. And again, line outside. And there's to the point where a juggler decided that he was going to take advantage of the captive audience and would entertain people. Yeah, exactly.
Make a couple bucks.
Yeah, how much did you make?
Every once in a while, he gets one in.
He does.
I let him because
He's gotta,
it encourages him.
Well, God's honest truth. I thought you were being serious because 1977, you were still,
Oh yeah, no.
So I thought that's where you were going.
I was able to juggle for about 20 minutes once. I was on the road with a guy who knew how to juggle, and he taught me how when you're learning, you need to stand up against a bed and use oranges. So when they fall, they don't fall on the ground, they fall onto the mattress. So that way,
okay.
And it's just a question of eye coordination, hand coordination. And I was able to do it for about 20 minutes, and then completely lost the skill. I can't do it now. This saved my life. But,
I want to show the clip of you in How to Succeed in Business. It's very quick. This is part of it.
It doesn't have to be.
It's 43 seconds. But yeah, I want to show this, and then I want to ask you about it after we show it.
Rushing you. This guy. You're just jealous.
I've a hobby. I play gin with Mr. Brett.
And do you play it nicely?
Play it nicely. Still, he blitzes me in every game like that.
Why?
'Cause I play it the company way. Executive policy is by me, okay.
How can you get anywhere?
Junior, have no fear. Whoever the company fires, I will still be here.
You will still be
Year after year after fiscal, never take a risk all year.
Gleason.
So, tribute to Gleason? What do you mean? Oh, okay. But my question is, I guess, to get on a Broadway show, like, the singing doesn't have to be all that good.
No, it doesn't.
That was
Fortunately
rude.
for me.
Oh, come on. It's Rob Bartlett.
Fortunately for me, that's the case. Chicago, sometimes you don't even have to sing it all. Like, off key, on key, just not sing.
Yeah.
You can just talk the song.
Sure.
Which, the guy played Big Pussy.
Pastore, Vincent Pastore.
Played Amos in Chicago, and I was playing the part during that period, and they wanted to stick him and the one who played Tony's sister. Aida Turturro, right. She was going to be Mama Morton, and he was going to be Amos, and because they do these stunt castings, all the time.
Amos, anus. This is fucking too much for me.
In the middle.
Is it just me? I'm sorry. Okay, keep going.
The grown-ups were talking.
Okay.
She's going to hate me by the time this is
over. I can take it. I haven't gotten offended or upset about things.
Well, how much time do we have left? And I was playing Amos at the time, and I was under contract, and so they wanted me to take a month leave of absence. But of course, my manager, Gary, said, no, you still have to pay him. So I was a standby, which meant I just had to phone in and see if he was going to go on or not. But I went to see him do it, and it was just painful.
So you were on Broadway jury duty?
Kind of,
yeah. Right. That's very good.
Exactly.
Okay, good. I'll do other things.
If someone stood up in a crowd and raised his voice up way out loud and waved his arm and shook his leg, you'd notice him. Cellophane. Mr. Cellophane should have been my name, Mr. Cellophane, because you can look right through me, walk right by me, and never know I'm there. And I was horrified. He was just so awful. This is a part that I worked really hard on and I made my own. I was so proud of it. It remains my favorite part I've ever played on a stage.
Oh, wow.
It's the best part in the world. You get 3 scenes in the first act, 3 scenes in the second act. Every single scene you have, you get to make them laugh and cry. And
in his part,
you steal the show with that number in the second act. It's just great.
And then didn't he start a band after that? Doesn't he have a band?
Who, Vince Pastore?
Yeah, the Gangster Squad or the Hit, something like that. He has a I'm pretty sure.
What does he play? The ocarina? I mean, I don't know.
Like he's Zelda. What's your dream part? If you could pick any part on any existing or past Broadway show, what would you...
When I was younger, it used to be Harold Hill in Music Man, because for my 8th grade drama class, I learned Trouble in River City as a monologue, which I can still do to this day.
Can you give us a little...
Either you're closing your eyes to a situation you do not wish to acknowledge, or you're unaware of the caliber of disaster indicated by the presence of a pool table in your community. Well, you got trouble, my friends. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a the player. Mighty proud to say, I'm simply mighty proud to say it. I consider that the hours I spend with a cue in my hand are golden. Helps to cultivate horse sense with a cool head and a keen eye. Did you ever take a trifine ironclad leave for yourself from a 3-rail billiard shot? But just as I say it takes judgment, brains, and maturity to score in a balk line game, I say that any boob can take and shove a ball in a pocket, and I call that sloth. The first big step on the road to the depths of the degradé. I say first, medicinal wine from a teaspoon, then beer from a bottle. And the next thing you know, your color's playing Money in a Pinchback Suit and listening to some big out-of-town Jasper hear him tell about horse race gambling. Not a wholesome trotting race, no, but a race where they sit down right on a horse. Like to see some stuck-up jockey boy sitting on damn patch make your blood boil, well, I should say. Now, friends, let me tell you what I mean. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets in the table, pockets that mark the difference between a gentleman and a bum with a capital B and it rhymes with P and it stands for pool.
Wow, bravo.
But I can't remember my kids' names. So, it's just... So it was that. Fagin and Oliver has always been one that I've always wanted to play. And now, obviously I can't do either one of those. Now it's like, if I could play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof would be great.
That's a great...
Or Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. Those would be the two.
That's a good one.
Two to do, because,
That was impressive that you remembered that. Now, do you remember this one? When your instinct tells you that disaster.
Oh, God, oh my. How'd you know that?
I played it, too.
Did you really?
I did. In high school.
Do it together.
I was waiting.
When your instinct tells you that disaster is approaching you faster and faster, just be like the bluebird and sing tweet, tweet, tra-la-la-la-la-la. That's also
I duetted with
another
Bob
one of my
Bartlett.
favorite.
Oh, I love that.
Because that was
and now we're at the right age.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
every line was a laugh line, and before every single big production number or tap dance, they find a reason to haul them off stage. It was my favorite thing. I didn't have to dance. It was just, I'd say something, and then the guys from the would come in and drag you off stage.
That was the best part. You didn't have to get involved in any of the musical parts. And playing that in high school, like you said, every line was a laugh line. Like, overnight, like all of a sudden I'm Mr. Popularity in high school. For a high school nerd, that's the role, man.
Exactly. I mean,
that's the
just
role.
What you know, finally you belong. You know? And it's that music. I mean, it's that unbelievable music, and it's written like, I think one of the guys who wrote it also wrote for the Marx Brothers. So it's like a Marx Brothers movie. At least the original version was. I've seen the updated version. I don't think it's as good as the original.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but you get to sing French, that one. I mean, there's just so many great numbers. You know, I get a kick out of you, and but it's an entertaining as hell show. I mean, it just was a lot of fun.
Love that show. That's what made me decide. All right, I want to get into that world. Didn't really work out, but
well, it got you this.
Well, there you go, and it got me, which got me to know you.
Well, that's a perk. I would have to agree with you on that one.
And I mean, he sent me clips of him on Letterman. I mean, he's been on Broadway, he's been on TV and movies, and getting to be on Letterman, that's kind of like a dream too, right?
Well, I had done the show as a stand-up back when he was first on Late Night. It was the first summer when he was on Late Night, and I had placed second in the New York Big Laugh Off, and one of the judges was Bob Morton, the producer.
Right, yeah.
And Bob said, we want you to do the show, start working on your 7 minutes, whatever it was. And I started choosing what I was going to do, and 2 days later I got a call, can you do the show tonight?
Oh, wow.
A guest had canceled. I think it was Elton John, because it was Fran Lebowitz, Elton John, and surfer Jerry Lopez, who happened to be starring in Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they needed, and I already kind of knew what I was going to do, so I said, sure. But I didn't have the benefit of woodshedding it in the clubs where the producer would come and give you, normally they give you a month or whatever, and they work with you. So I show up, and I have to do my act in front of the NBC censor in the hallway.
Oh, wow.
Which I do. And he looked exactly as you would imagine an NBC censor would look, like the little pince-nez glasses, and he just head down, not laughing once, and just going. And it was about, 2 whole minutes of my act I couldn't do.
Wow.
For various reasons. I wish he told me I couldn't do some of the stuff I ended up doing in retrospect, but. And I didn't have anything to wear, so I was getting married that September. This was in July or August. And so I went to the tuxedo place, and I rented the wedding tuxedo that I was going to wear, which is like the morning coat, with the tails and all that, and sneakers.
What year is this?
1982.
This is
fantastic. And I ended 2 minutes early, and no one told Dave. And so I wasn't supposed to sit down. I was supposed to just go right. And, of course, I go and sit down. And he doesn't have anything prepared. Oh, wow. And so there's a little tense moment between the two of us. And he says, so this comedy thing is going to be a thing for you? It was like he was not impressed with what I had done. Yeah. And he said, well, what'd you do before you? I said, well, I used to be an elevator operator. And he said, oh, I said, yeah, had a lot of ups and downs. And he didn't realize I was trying to be ironic, kind of. So he thinks he's being punked, at this point, because, he thinks that they put me up to this.
Right.
And so it was a really tense 2 minutes. And,
oh, wow.
And needless to say, I was never asked back. And then we do Brotherhood of Man from How to Succeed on Letterman on the show. And his head writer, Bill Sheft, a friend of mine from the stand-up days, must have told him. Because I worked with Bill the weekend after I had done the show in Atlanta. And he tells Dave that I'd done the show. And I guess Dave must have remembered because of that horror story. And so after it was all over, he was telling all of it, he shook my hand, he went, "Good to see you again."
You did it just like him.
It was so funny. And how about this? This is how interesting I find it, because he's known to be like this really standoffish kind of guy. And whatnot. Another friend of mine, Dan Cashman, had been doing a late night talk show on Saturday nights up in Bangor, Maine, and has been doing it for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And he just finished his last show. And it's always been his dream. He's very influenced by Dave Letterman. And somehow, through some kind of connections, he got Dave to come up to Maine and be a guest on his show.
Just within the past week or two?
Yes.
I saw something about that, yeah.
And just the classiest thing in the world.
Wow.
I was so happy for him, because he worked like a dog on that show for 20 years, and to have that as like a final nod. And Dave said, you want to keep doing this, I can help you find something. I said, you better take him up on that.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's great. It was great. I was very happy for him. Yeah, good guy.
Probably like 10, 15 years ago, I was doing one of my murder mystery shows. And Pat Farmer, he was on Letterman. He was like one of the stagehands. Letterman had this bit. He would get these two crew guys. They would actually have a little book, and it was text from an old Oprah show. And they would just read it. And they were so deadpan, and they're not performers. So
I think I know who you're talking about. Yes,
tall guy, very thin, balding, white hair.
Yeah.
He was in the audience.
Oh, that's funny.
So I'm doing my thing in the show, and I just stopped, and I said, "Are you Pat from Letterman?" I said, "Right there on the mic," and he went like that, and I said, "Is it all right that I said that?" And he was like, "Yeah." After the show, he comes to us, loved the show. This was great, really enjoyed it. He was like that, invite you guys to come be my guests at the show one day, and I'll introduce everybody. We're like, holy crap. 2 months later, he ends up getting, I think it was, I forget what he had. He had some kind of illness. He was out for a year, comes back after a year, reaches out to me and says, "I haven't forgotten you, but because I was out for a year," he goes, "I have a lot of people ahead of you on the list." He said, "But I'll get to you." I think it was a year after that, Letterman's done. So it never happened. That's my whole story.
Are you getting a sense that there's a pattern here, Tony?
Maybe.
He doesn't know that they put you in here so they can let him go, right? He doesn't know that yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
It's a couple more weeks.
Okay.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. Well, Letterman inducted Pearl Jam into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's right,
And
yeah.
he was fantastic.
Is that what you think of when you think of David Letterman?
Well, no, I watched Letterman growing up with his little sidekick. Hello.
Paul Schaefer.
Paul Schaefer.
Paul Schaefer.
Oh, I thought it was Paul Lynde there for a second.
It kind of was.
It was kind of like a hello from Paul Lynde.
Hello. Hello, Frisco.
He's exactly who he is on stage and off stage.
Letterman or Schaefer?
Schaefer.
Oh, Schaefer.
Because I asked them if they, because obviously you get music played when you get introduced.
Right.
And I said, "Can you play Viva Las Vegas?" Because I just thought it would be funny to come out to Viva Las Vegas. That's nutty. That's a nutty choice. I think
good.
we could do that. I think we could do that.
What a great band, though.
Will Lee on the bass.
Will Lee, and Anton Fig on drums.
It was even before Anton was on the drums when I did it.
Oh, Steve Jordan was
I
the
think it was
drummer?
Steve Jordan.
Because I know, you're a big music guy. You're a drummer yourself, aren't you? Still playing or no?
Yeah, every once in a while. I don't do it as much as I like to.
Still talking about the drumming?
Everything in my life. Everything in my life, I don't do it enough as I would like to.
Like coming on here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's the one thing I got to say. I have more than enough of.
This is his fill. I mean, come on.
I like that. That's his fill. Drum, and we're talking about drumming. Drum fill?
She didn't.
No, I don't.
I know.
But you're going to give her credit for it, which
Absolutely.
is a classy thing for him to do.
That's right.
I'm like, I don't know.
It's like what they say about authors. Authors are entitled to whatever a reader can find in them.
That's a great line.
I should have slept.
Because
you're much smarter than most of our guests.
No.
I can usually come in here after like a bender and be like, "Yeah, I got it." You're like,
the guy who wrote
you like know things.
World According to Garp didn't realize a central theme of that book, which was about the inability to speak.
Right.
And it happens like 5 or 6 times throughout. It's almost like a theme. And it wasn't until somebody at like a book reading said something like that, he went, oh, he hadn't realized that he had done it. It was like almost subliminally that he had put that in there. So,
oh, that's crazy. I love stuff like that. So,
what do you have on your agenda?
instead of that, you just let a pause.
Okay.
And then nod and go.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Just that.
That's it?
That's it. That's much more effective.
Oh, okay.
Or a pause and then, I love that story. Those are the two. I'm giving that to you. Now, next time you get a guest that you really want to mess with, those are the two things you can do.
Really?
I got to say, one thing about you that really impresses me most.
I feel the same. I had the same exact thing. When
Timing.
Oh, my God. I laugh so hard every time he's in here. May 22nd, go down to the Huntington Arts Center.
What comes to mind when you're in Govs is on his list.
Oh, that's one of my that's one of the questions on my list. When you walk into this building, what comes to mind? Because you have so much history here.
Many great shows. My bachelor party was here.
Oh, no kidding.
In the back after a show.
In the back, you're pointing that way. That's outside. It doesn't get much any more back than where we are.
There's like a dumpster and the sign with this big head on it.
I think behind the kitchen there used to be a room where they used to store the beer kegs and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But it started like before the show was over. We all sat in the audience and heckled whoever the comic was on the stage. And then we went in the back and they, tapped the keg and we all got loaded. And then they brought a stripper in.
Wow.
And so I was on stage with a stripper who, this is my legacy, complimented me on what a gentleman I was.
Oh, that's nice.
Because I didn't,
Right. But yeah. No, I don't know.
Now if I knew then what I know now,
you'd be a puppeteer. Sorry.
I wasn't listening. I
that's
did.
fine.
I'm going to pretend I didn't listen. And he said, you're a drummer. So who is your favorite drummer?
It's Ringo.
Yeah.
I mean, Ringo's the reason why I play the drums. I mean, and the thing about him is he's not a great drummer, technically.
He admits that.
And he admits that.
Yeah.
And part of it is because he is left-handed, but had a right-handed kit.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he did fills, it was backwards from what a normal drummer would do. And so it would make him lag behind just slightly, but then he would make up for it. So that's the reason why so many Beatles songs have that great drive, because of the style that he implemented when he was playing. That little bit of a lag that helped it move it forward. It's incredible.
Huh. One thing I wanted to ask you, again, looking at the stuff you sent me, how much dislike do you have for Martling?
Dislike?
Yeah.
Why dislike?
Well, you sent me the picture, the famous picture of you on stage with Eddie, the picture that everybody knows, but you sent it to me with Jackie cropped out of it.
Did I really?
Yeah. I'm showing it now, so in 30 seconds you'll see it there.
But
I did. I happen to have the picture already, so I will save you and post.
I know I have it with him in it. I don't know why.
Wait a minute.
It might have been
Jackie.
That's Jackie the Joke Man.
I'm formatting it for
there
this.
You go. So there it is.
Yeah.
There's you and Eddie, and that's how you sent it to me without Jackie in it.
I think it must have been for something else. Because I always.
Oh, trust me, I get it.
No, Jackie and I are old pals.
Yeah.
I mean, I started out with Jackie. He was one of the Magnificent Seven.
Right.
Yeah, there he is.
Now, and that picture, was that here?
That's East Side Comedy Club.
Oh, East Side, okay.
East Side Comedy Club. When the stage used to be on the side rather than in front of the fireplace. Okay. I don't know if you remember the East Side.
I do. Not well, because I'm a lot younger than you.
Which is now a Harley's. It's going to be a Harley's American Grill.
Right.
I just passed by it yesterday.
That is the coolest. I went on Jackie's podcast.
I'll tell you, I'll be honest.
That was fun.
I haven't seen yours yet. I do plan on watching it.
I had a great time.
But when you were on it, I think that's my favorite episode.
Because we have so much history here.
But that's what, in my opinion, that's what that show should be.
Absolutely.
In all honesty, unless it's a guest like you, like Rosie's done it, I've done it, we don't belong there, in my opinion. I don't mean that as a
No,
slight,
no,
but it should be guys like you that
Well,
you
that's
all
the
where you
whole
came up
premise
to.
of the show.
Right,
You can't
where
do
they
that
should
all
do that
the
more.
time.
You
And
can.
no, because it's.
Jackie's got endless stories, and then when you're there, you have endless stories.
But it's like you guys represent a different wave. Like it's been in waves. It was the wave before us, then it was us, then it was like Joey Cola's wave, and then after that it was like Richie Burns' wave, and there's like always been different, but like classes, almost like in high school,
right?
And you guys,
but we want to know these stories.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. But I mean, your perspective, I find interesting because it's so different than what I experienced when I first started out.
Yeah.
We were very, very lucky when we first started out because it was 78, I think, was the first time I played Dixon's.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the only game in town.
Right.
And stand-up was just about to hit the big surge.
Right.
And all through the 80s, it became the rock. You were rock star. Comedians were rock stars.
Right, yeah.
And then by the end of the 80s, when TV was saturated with brick walls and guys in vests holding a microphone, and people decided that instead of going out to a nightclub and having to pay a babysitter and a $20 cover charge and a $50 drink and food bill, they'd stay home and see the same thing on TV.
Right.
And plus mismanagement of so many of the clubs because it was so popular. You'd have all these retired cops who had a bar in, within 20 minutes of any major airport in the United States, and you'd open up a comedy club. And so much of that stuff were just, taxes and padlocks and doors, or, it was during the time when they used to pay acts in cocaine. So that was an interesting time period to be. But we made our own rules. That's why we call ourselves the Magnificent Seven. The seven guys who really started out together.
Right. You guys were like the Beatles, basically. You guys set the. You said it.
We called the shots.
Right.
I'll never. One of my favorite stories is the first paying gig we actually had, and it was a woman who decided she was going to have a comedy night at the Smithtown Landing Country Club.
Okay.
And it was Jackie, myself, Richie Minervini, Jim Myers, Dave Hawthorne, Nelson, and me. And
what a lineup!
I was the Magnificent Seven, the original Magnificent Seven, and it was in whatever the room is where they would, the all-purpose room at the country club, and she had a microphone and a tiny amp, and no microphone stand, and so. Both Nelson and I were prop acts. I was a prop act when I first started, so we both had suitcases. And so the handheld was just not going to be. And Hawthorne, too. There were 3 suitcases on the bill that night. And we went into the game room and stole a pool cue and an umbrella stand and stuck the pool cue in the umbrella stand and duct taped the microphone to that. And so in the middle of the shot, and meanwhile, there was about 22 people in a room that sat 150. And it was still new, and Hawthorne's doing bits about, how to roll a joint and getting high. And, and Minervini was about the only one who was as close to what they would know to be stand-up because it was, almost like Catskill stuff. And, Jackie's doing every dirty joke, And so they're all sitting there like this. And we realized it was an uphill battle. And so we decided we're just going to make each other laugh. And Hawthorne started, and he just and he had the pool cue and he just started doing this. I mean, the butt will be ready in about a minute. And from that point on, it was just our show. And then after it was over, we're all standing in the parking lot, and the woman who had put it together comes out and said, I know it was tough, but I think it's going to be something we can do this weekly. It's going to be a great thing. I'm so excited about this. I think this went so well. And she runs back into the thing, and Myers turns to Minervini and goes, she's such a nut. It's just a great memory,
Well, what's your? In my opinion, I've brought it up on this show before. I guess in the early '90s, when Seinfeld really hit, you had his observational comedy, where you guys. I mean, we just showed the picture. You, Jackie, and Eddie up on stage together. You and Nelson. Coming up with bits, sometimes on the fly. Plenty of comedians that do characters. As much as I love Seinfeld and loved his show, I do feel that observational comedy, like it's still today, that's all anybody's doing because he was so big, like he changed the game, and it's mostly that. I do see once in a while somebody's doing characters. I'm starting to see some duo acts again, which I'm a big fan of, but I almost feel to a certain degree Seinfeld almost kind of ruined things a little bit.
Well, I mean, it was more traditional. I mean, certainly he was born of guys like Robert Klein.
Okay.
To a certain extent, Carlin and maybe not Pryor, because Pryor incorporated characters into what he did.
Yeah.
But observational humor is
it's great.
Was I guess the next stage after the Borscht Belt set up Punchline,
right?
Tumbling and whatnot, and that's in the early '70s. That's when the seeds were planted, and so that kind of spiraled into something else. I mean, I did characters because I got into stand-up because I wanted to be an actor,
right?
And it was at the time when Steve Martin and Robin Williams were making that transition. I thought this was the quickest way of getting there because. I was on a leave of absence from college, working as a janitor in the city and reading backstage, trying to get auditions.
Yep.
I just told somebody this story the other day. I found there was a non-equity. You could get your equity card by it was an open call, being held at the equity office, and it was for some new playwright, and it was a psychological drama about a guy who discovers throughout the course of the play, he somehow comes to the realization that he's responsible for the death of his childhood friend. And so the monologue they gave you for the audition was the moment he realizes it and he breaks down. So I worked on this, an acting class. She got me a coach. I worked on it 2-3 weeks, and I was working on it. I learned the whole thing. I show up on my lunch hour because that was the only time I really could, and I show up and as I walk in, everyone behind the table, the intern had just brought them lunch, and so they're passing out the sandwiches and the salads, and I'm waiting. They go, no, go ahead. And so I take a deep breath and I do this monologue, and I had worked on it so hard, and just kind of, I don't know, something inside me clicked, and I was in the zone. And I almost didn't realize it, but I collapsed on the floor, heaving with sobs.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of scared me a little bit because, and then I hear, fabulous. And I smiled, I took a deep breath, and I stood up, and I said, thank you. And the director goes, oh, no, I meant the sandwich.
Jeez.
So I figured if I could deal with that kind of abuse, the stand-up was going to be
that's a breeze.
Song. It'd be a breeze after that.
Wow. That's fantastic. Wow.
Wow.
And fortunately for me, I didn't take the hint. So.
Right. Well, and then we got this, speaking of Eddie Murphy, you sent me this other photo. How high are you guys in this photo?
Look at his shorts.
Well, I was straight. I was like the only comic who didn't do drugs. Nelson and I really, and even Eddie, the three of us. That's why I think we got along so well. But I think you're talking about, that was in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
And that's the identical triplets. It's me, Nelson, and Eddie. And Bob, when he's off stage, looks very, very different than he does when he's on stage. And if you notice, there's not a hair on my leg whatsoever. It's they're smoother than the lady. She was the head waitress, I think, at the Fort Lauderdale comic strip, and she and Eddie were in the midst of having a little fling.
Nice.
And I was smiling because I kind of knew what was going on.
You're trying to get in on it.
Yeah, like I'm such a catch. Really, if I'm a woman, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm moist.
Well,
Oh boy.
Well, all right, but then you have. Speaking of Nelson, you got this picture. I mean, you'll see in a second, but you sent it to me, so it's you looking. It's a close up of you and Bob, and you just lovingly staring into his face here. Like how long did that relation? How long did that marriage last?
We were inseparable. I mean, especially like after Eddie got SNL and was not around much anymore, he and I did more and more stuff together. And we just were on the same wavelength because he also did characters and voices and stuff like that. And I was always up for doing improv, and we'd be on the same show at East Side, or sometimes we weren't even on the show, but we'd show up there because we had no lives other than a comedy club. And then we would go up after the show was over and just, we had some set pieces we used to do. It was the two cavemen discovering how to speak, and then it was the two deep sea divers. And we'd always veer off into uncharted territory, but always next to each other, just knew, anticipated each other, and we just really, really worked together. And I think that that was during we were doing opera, where somebody was playing a piano, and we just improvised opera, and I would start off singing mock Italian, and then we would go into English or whatever, and it was always a love story, and I would inevitably be the woman, the tragic woman who would end up dying at the end of the opera or whatever it was. But it was very exhilarating. It was just, and it's just, the chemistry was palpable, on the same wavelength. I mean, to the point, well, it has benefit here.
Right.
We were sitting back here, and they were doing a live stream podcast while the show was on, and he and I were just sitting in the corner, and we were wearing the headphones with the things, and somebody made some comment about we looked like pilots. And the two of us together get into this little improvised sketch about pilots, back and forth. And it was like we had just seen each other the day before.
Well, that was the thing. Are you familiar with Bob Nelson? Yeah, Bob Nelson. I mean, in the 80s, talk about the explosion. He was a major part of that, working with Rodney and stuff. So they had the benefit here. I'm sitting right here, and I'm watching these two comedy legends go into those bits and laughing and talking to each other, not knowing until you came in last time to do this show, it was the first time they'd seen each other in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I had basically my own private show. Well, Christy Miller was in here, and I forget who else. But just again on that very couch, just getting our own private show with these. I saw Nelson at West Virginia Music Fair with Rodney back in '86 or whatever. I've seen you at various times, and then you had the Bartletts, which my brother had a connection to. So of course, I heard you on Imus. I mean, to see these two guys. Yeah. And to be 5 feet away from it, not in a club, and yeah, exactly, just like you said, just they had it, and you would think they just did a show 3 days ago, prior or something, and then to find out it was 20 years apart. I'm still that's definitely one of my top 5 memories of being in here, without a doubt.
Where would it be? Towards the top of the 5?
How does it rank?
What was better?
5.5. It's definitely all right. I'll go top 3.
Something with Steve Rizzo, I'm sure.
Steve Rizzo, wow. No, I'll go top 3. I'll definitely go top 3. But I have to think what the other 2 would be. We talked to Kevin Pollak. That was a good one. Joey Cole is definitely involved in one of those. Joey's just
he's
the best.
nonstop.
He's just
and
the best.
Joey. The Bell's palsy that made him deaf in both ears, and then he had that brain aneurysm or whatever it was that he had, and then
the palsy came back.
And the palsy came back, and then he had something else. And I said to him, I said, you should get Hep C. You'll get another 20 minutes out of it because he's turned all these things into bits.
It's true, and only Joey can turn something like Bell's palsy into a great bit, or even John Ziegler. He had. I forget what kind, but he had a form of cancer.
Pancreatic cancer.
Pancreatic.
Most people don't even
and he
get to even have enough time to talk about.
And he made a full recovery, and he's even he's done full sets about it, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's just like I have Crohn's disease. I think I'm gonna do another 20 minutes about
That's on my list too.
It is.
It's here somewhere. How's the Crohn's?
It's good, thanks. It asks about you all the time.
Fucking weird. How's that Crohn's?
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just It is what it is.
What does it do? Is it just painful? I don't even know. I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know how.
It's different forms.
Oh, is that right?
And of course now there are many therapies and drugs that they didn't have when I first was diagnosed.
Yeah.
I had my ileostomy 40 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so, since then it's made leaps and bounds, and, it saved my life, really.
Yeah.
And Gary, my manager, Gary Grant, I weighed, I guess, 140 something pounds.
Wow.
I was septic. The colon was so diseased that it perforated and attached to my bladder and perforated the bladder.
I didn't know it could do that.
Because I was septic, it infected my appendix. And I was on stage at Jimmy's Comedy Alley in Bayside, and Gary showed up with a suitcase and said, "Come on." I said, "What?" He said, "I'm going to the hospital." I said, No, because it's one of the things, the psychological profile is denial. I'm fine, because, we'd go into remission, whatever, and I'd had it since I was in 8th grade.
Mm.
And took me to Long Island Jewish Hospital, and they admitted me, and they did surgery 2 days later, and said that if I'd shown up a half an hour later than I did, I wouldn't have made it. So Gary saved my life, really, and although it was a big adjustment, to have an ileostomy, it changes everything, and it's so funny because I keep getting these emails from my general practitioner doctor saying, "It's time to schedule your colonoscopy." And I get a phone call that says, "Hi, this is Dr. Ing's office, and we'd like to schedule for your colonoscopy." And it's just, "Hi, it's Rob Bartlett." He says, "I don't have a fucking colon, okay?" It's like you got to remind them. But one of these days, I'm just going to go.
You should just go.
I'm just going to go and just wait to see how long it's going to take them to try and find where they can stick the hose. Because, so it is an adjustment, but I'm living proof that you can still live a long life. And for years, I didn't let anyone know, that I wore the pouch or anything like that because it was a little embarrassing. But now it's, if it can help someone else to know that, I am now where I am because of that, that you can manage with it. It's I mean, I passed it on to my son, unfortunately, which is one of the regrets because it is genetic. But he also he inspires me the way he has handled it and the way he deals with it. He's otherworldly, in terms of that.
How many kids do you have?
4 boys. One is not blood. He was my oldest son, Sean's best friend in middle school. And from the moment he stepped foot in our house, I considered him a son. He was just, he's one of the, he's one of my sons. I say I have 4 sons, and I treat them just like they're, he is one of them. He provided me with 2 of my grandchildren, so.
I love that.
Wow. What do we do now?
I don't know.
How do you follow that up?
Thanks for bringing the room down, Tony.
No,
well, lose a limb, amateur.
Yeah, you're like, how's the drums? Jesus.
See, this is why we connect. I wish you had that on tape. How did that go? I don't know how we got into it. And what I said.
I don't. Well, I mean, yeah, I'd go back and watch.
I said something last time I was on, interviewing me, and I was really brutal with him, more brutal than I was with you. But
you
really
went easy on me. You kidding me?
Okay, throwing the gauntlet. And I said something about but you won't have a leg to stand on. And then he leans over and plops the leg on the counter. I thought I was going to die. I laughed so hard because the timing behind it, and I didn't know. I had no idea.
Right.
Oh, you didn't know?
I had no idea. Yeah. And it was so great. It was one of my favorite memories of one of my favorite interviews for that moment because it was just so. You couldn't have written it. You know, it was
No.
that perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I laughed so hard.
And when we did the Richie Byrne stand-up sit-down, I said, this is how I sit at a Richie Byrne show. And I put the leg up so my foot was right here, and I rested my head like I was sleeping.
It was really funny.
And then he yells out, prop comic!
I forgot I did that.
You really feel like you made it. Like, you know, when Rob Bartlett is
Laughing at you.
chiming in like that. Yeah, that was that whole night. I mean, it was about Richie, but for me, the stand-up there with Rob Bartlett and Joey Cola, Chris Roach, all these great people, and I'm like, it was definitely one of those moments where I was wondering what I was doing.
Are these all fans phoning in? Or?
Did anybody chime in?
Oh, they've been commenting like crazy. The whole show. Vicky's watching. She just saw Cheap Trick with Hart back in March. She said it was great. Don Sill, he's gonna start a GoFundMe page for natural causes for Rob's. I usually don't answer the phone if I don't see the name because I've been trolled.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. Bad.
I'm shocked.
Friender, of course, has been commenting. Vicky says she's going to see the Back to the Future musical in June. Vicky,
it's closed, Vicky.
They closed it, Vicky.
Unless you're going to London.
Or, I don't know, is there a touring version, maybe?
Oh, it might be. It might be on tour.
Yeah. James Grimm is watching. The show is very good, quite entertaining. I'm now lost from Philly now. What does that mean? Oh, he's stuck in Pennsylvania somewhere because I wasn't paying attention to the road. I appreciate it. I love you guys. Oh, okay.
Just a thought. Maybe you don't want to watch this while you're driving. Just a thought.
Yeah.
And for the rest of you who have been following and writing in, I'm begging you, get a life.
Rosie is actually, she's been doing comedy a year?
It will be a year in July.
Any advice for Rosie?
Where'd you start?
I took a class at Brokerage.
Peter?
With Peter and
Peter and
Rich Walkenstein.
That's right. His name is not Walker.
I'm not
Don't let him get
gonna call
away
him
with
that
it
anymore.
That's right.
I actually saw him this week at a wake, at a Wakenstein. And I loved it. I was going to do it as a bucket list. I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to perform. I always, perform on my own. And then I had such a good time at the showcase, and they contacted me and were like, "You want a spot?" And I was like, "Okay." So I did a spot, and I haven't stopped.
Yeah. What's your hook? What do you?
I talk a lot about my mother, and I talk about. I guess it's not observational, really, because it's not about today I had a cup of coffee, but
why do they call it coffee?
What do they call it coffee for?
I've been telling her because she goes into just off the cuff.
I do a lot of facial expressions.
Yes.
And I'm very.
There should be characters, I feel, because she's so good at stuff like that.
I kind of do.
Very
characters.
animated.
I'll talk about my mother, but I kind of do my mother.
Mhm.
Like I become my mother, and then I become.
A lot of people have done your mother. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah. Somebody should be doing her now. Calm her down.
Oh.
But I do my mother. I do my son. I do my husband. I just do them as I talk about them. I kind of try to become them, and yeah.
What does your husband think of your act?
He's very supportive. He thinks it's funny. He doesn't mind being the brunt of the jokes. I think he kind of enjoys it. My son loves me. He wants me to do more.
Oh, yeah?
About him, yeah.
Oh, that's
I gotta
cool.
Write more about him. But my mother's the one that I love to because she's just so easy. She's got no filter and she says crazy things.
Do you physically write? Like, do you set aside time every day to write, or?
Oh no, I wish I could. I work full time. I have a bridal business, retail, and we had a fire a month ago.
Oof.
She sells brides.
So I haven't been on stage in a month.
Any Filipinos?
No, that's what my father used to say. I'm going to leave you all for a Filipino, an 18-year-old Filipino one day. And we'd be like, why? And now as I'm older, I kind of get why. But it's like, that's weird. But I took the class again in December. And I only did it because it forced me to put time aside that I had. I was held accountable.
What a racket Bales has got going, man.
Oh,
What
absolutely.
And D.F. Sweedler in the City does it at the comic strip. It's like, what do they say? Those that can't do, teach.
So
and those who can't teach Jim.
Oh, it's true. Phys ed, please. Let's at least call it phys ed. It forced me to do that. And then it gave me a little bit more material. And now I kind of mix up from the first and the second. And I've been trying new things, but I haven't been on stage in a whole month. I did a show like 3 or 4 days before the fire, and then I canceled everything.
Do you get booked?
For the month.
I mean, you actually get booked for...
I've been doing like restaurant shows. I do about 8 to 10 minutes. I kind of open. I'm doing a show on the 15th at a restaurant in Farmingdale. Then I'm doing one in
Harley's. What restaurant in Farmingdale?
I'm doing one at Zuzu's.
Zuzu.
On the 29th.
Great place.
And then I'm doing one at Brasserie in Massapequa.
Mike Keegan and Richie Byrne have used you a few times.
I'm gonna be with Keegan tomorrow night here.
Oh, so you return tomorrow night. Very nice.
I return tomorrow night.
I've been telling everybody all week. See? Right there. Rosie.
Yeah, I'm doing Keegan's show tomorrow night.
Here in the Giggle Room. Yeah, very nice.
What you might want to try, and this I found to be very useful for me, if you can get a gig emceeing.
I've done that a few times.
It's really helpful because it makes you segment your act. It helps you with crowd work. You learn more about audiences and how to keep a rhythm of a show going. And I also found that moving the pieces around, like you have a set list that you do sometimes if you move it around, like you do a bit that you would do in the middle up front instead, it changes the tone of everything and you find other kind of levels of meaning in it. So the more that you can kind of experiment with it, because now's the time you should be doing the experimentation.
Yeah.
You should really be, working on finding different segues. And that's the other thing, too, is it forces you to find different segues for pieces that normally wouldn't go together. And sometimes that will inspire something else. It's a constant. There's a book called The Artist's Way. I forget who wrote it. But it's basically for creative people. And it gives you exercises to do to help stimulate the brain and to help you to fill the well of creativity.
Oh, wow.
And she has something that you should do morning pages, which is every day when you wake up, as you're having your first cup of coffee, you should write at least a page. Stream of consciousness, whatever it is, but just force yourself to write a page every day. And then you go back and look at it later and you'll see. And don't censor yourself, don't judge yourself, don't edit yourself, just let it out. And then when you go back, you find a lot of stuff that's very, very useful. She suggests that you take yourself on an artist date, which is go somewhere by yourself, usually, in a place that you find comfortable, enjoyable, that it inspires you. Like her place, she would go to map stores. And she would go to a map store, and that would help her refill the well. Just wandering around a place that you feel comfortable, whether it's a garden or buy yourself a coloring book and a pack of crayons, and just color for an hour. All these things help you to keep the creative mind from going. Because that's our only tool.
Yeah.
In doing stand up is any kind of writer. A writer writes. If you don't write every day,
I write a lot, but my challenge is I like to tell stories. That's why I like to be here. That's why I like to, at the end of the night when I'm wrapping up with my staff, I like to talk about what happened during the day and recap and laugh.
But that you should embrace that, because that's also something that's a lost art.
Yes.
Is storytelling. And telling a story can fit into an act very easily.
But that's the thing.
But it's
and
like
I'm not
little jokes that create a story. And I've learned that. But I write all these crazy stories, or like I'll have lunch with Eric Heft and I'll tell him a story and he'll be hysterical laughing. He's like, this is a bit. But we have to make it into, and that's the transition from telling him the story about what happened when I had 11 people in the emergency room with me, with the OR like this, and why I only had one kid because of this moment, and telling him and we're hysterical laughing. He's like, you got to write this. And I write it, but then taking that and making it into a premise and a punch.
Right.
That's the difficulty for me.
Yeah,
that's the difficulty for me is formulating it.
Jerry Seinfeld used to or at least when I worked with him, every single time I worked with him, especially in Fort Lauderdale, you're living together in the comedy condo, the hell accommodations. He had one of those black and white composition notebooks. Every day, 3 hours, every day. We're going to the beach, we're going to the movies, we're going to the arcade. He's writing every single day. And that was his process. I was never able to do that. I mean, I used to write, for 31 years, I wrote comic character pieces for Imus. And that I knew how to do and write and be able to know how to. But for my act, I couldn't sit down and write out what I was going to do. I would get a concept or an idea, and I would bring it on stage with me when I was working and just kind of wing it and see what I got out of it. And then if it had potential, I'd bring it back and add to it, whatever. But everything that was in my act was done that way. That's how I wrote. That was the way that I did it. I wish I had the discipline at the time to sit down and actually write stuff, but I always found it was stilted. It just didn't, to me, to go from here to here is a much purer scenario than from here to here to here to here to here. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like it was too removed from being in the moment, which is, the first thing I tell you in acting class is, to be in the moment. And that, that's also why an audience connects with you. It's because, you're trying to interest them, make them wonder what's coming next,
Really?
We were a longer pause.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
A longer pause, just a nod like that.
I was going to lose the moment. I thought one of you guys were going to say something.
You got to trust it. You got to trust the silence.
Oh, okay.
Got to trust it.
All right. See, I'm learning.
Really?
Well, thank you for that.
Really. It's just.
No, I
she's great. So yeah,
and it's funny because my friend Danny always says to me, "Did you write in the morning? Did you write for a few minutes this morning? And then at the end of the week, you got to read it, and then you cross off what doesn't matter, and in there you're going to find some stuff that does." He says the same thing.
There's a Seinfeld documentary that he made. Forgive me, I don't remember what it's called.
Comedian.
But no. This is a different one.
Oh, really?
This is a different one where he talks about his process, how he got started, and there's even a scene in it. He has all that notebook. He saved it all.
I know he's got everything he's ever done.
And and it's all laying around him as he's doing the intro to this special, and he's talking about all the just how he got his process going, and he then goes over all the stuff he wrote prior to hitting it big with the TV show, and then they even show him go to a club and do that act now, and it's very interesting. To get into his head is very interesting because he's Seinfeld, but I forget what it's called. He even does, he goes back to his childhood home and he's talking to the camera in front of his home.
It might have been the HBO special he did where he did basically it was a comic strip, right? Where he did. It
might have been.
He did the first.
Yeah.
Thing he ever did as a comic strip.
Yes, that's
set.
it.
Yeah,
but I don't remember what it's called. Comedian actually was filmed. A bunch of it was filmed here.
Yeah.
That was a different one. I forget what it's called. But if you can, I'll try to dig it up. All right, we're already running late. I just had. Can we go a few minutes more? I don't know.
Where am I going?
I don't know.
This is my life. I came to see you. That tells you everything about me.
Yeah, I feel bad for you. How about you? You're good
I'm
for
fine.
just
check
5 more minutes.
Good. Yeah.
5 minutes, and then we'll get out of here. The news this morning. Did you ever work with Ruth Buzzy at all?
No, but I met her. She passed?
She passed away last night. Yeah.
Who's that?
Ruth Buzzy.
Funny lady.
She was on Laugh-In. She was on.
Oh, she was a twinkle in her father's eye when Laugh-In was on. Are you kidding me?
Laugh-In was fantastic. What a great show.
She was a lovely lady. She used to be on Sesame Street. And Sesame Street used to shoot at the Calvin Astoria Studios where WFAN was located.
Oh, no kidding.
So I would bump into her all the time in the commissary. And could not be lovelier, sweeter, kinder.
We got her to do a cameo for this show back when we first started. It cost $15 to get her, and I played it before the show started.
Funny.
Ruth Buzzy.
Buzzi.
Yeah. So freaking funny. Oh, what a time.
I know who she is.
Yeah. talented lady. Yeah, she passed away yesterday. Yeah, very funny.
I know her face, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of
that's what made her
lent herself to her comedy. Yeah, she had a unique
unique
facial
look.
Yeah, unique look. That's better.
She had a face for radio.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to geek out for a second. If the movie Help did not have the Beatles or their music, would you still? And it was just 4 random guys. Do you think it would still be a funny movie?
No.
Why?
No, because so much of both Hard Day's Night and Help are because it's them, and it's that chemistry between them. I mean, it's basically Help inspired the whole pop art, pulp fiction that the Batman TV show became.
Yes, agreed.
The very, saturated colors, the comic book look of it. Plus, it was capitalizing on the James Bond craze at that time because it was 65 and Goldfinger had just come out, so it was like, of its time.
See, all those reasons is why I would think it would work.
It would be a very different movie. It could work because people like Victor Spinetti and what's his face, the guy who played Victor Spinetti's son.
Yeah, the guy
Roy Kinnear.
Right.
Roy Kinnear and Richard Lester is an amazing director. All those elements are great. I don't know is that they would be enough on their own without the Beatles.
I just think it's hilarious, that movie.
It cracks
me up.
But when you see, for example, A Hard Day's Night, Alan Owen, the guy who wrote the screenplay, had spent time with them on the road. And
well, right. That's more of a day in the life of the Beatles,
right,
kind of.
Right. And if you see, I think it's what the Beatles, when they first came into the Ed Sullivan Show, they did Ed Sullivan Show, and then they did Carnegie Hall, and then they went down to D.C.
Right.
And they took a train ride down to D.C. Well, if you see the documentary footage from that train ride, it's like outtakes from A Hard Day's Night. But that's what Alan Owen used. And all the interactions were almost word for word of what they did on their own. It was just that was talking about lightning in a bottle. That was really lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, Hard Day's Night is great. But Help to me is almost like The Naked Gun. It's so zany and out there, but it's not really anything to do with them like A Hard Day's Night was.
It's it's manufactured, the whole idea.
Right.
But it's little asides, like they're trying to get the ring
The
off
ring,
Ringer's
right.
finger. And it's just there's a certain amount of hurry up involved. So little throwaways like that you would miss, and I think that's what makes it the whole movie.
When the chief at Scotland Yard and he starts saying he's good at impressions, he's done people like Cagney, but then he does an impression of one of the Beatles and George, not a bit like Cagney.
Right.
I crack up every time.
It's the famous Bengal Tiger from So It Famous Is. It's just, it's a very quotable movie, but because of that.
Yeah. Well, true. Sorry, I know you have no idea what we're talking about. Sorry.
All right, this is your homework. You have to go watch Help on a Hard Day's Night.
Okay.
Hard Day's Night first.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it's in black and white. Sorry.
Be careful. It's okay.
All right. Last thing we do before we sign off. Is there any chance you'll say goodbye to everybody as Tom Carvel? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I was trying to recall the bet. It was my signature bet when I first started out. I used to do a version of it. He used to do the TV commercials where he would interview the owners of the Carvel ice cream stores.
Like Cookie Puss.
Right, yeah.
But the people who owned them.
Fudgy the Whale.
And he had this thing, Wednesday is Sunday, where you buy one, get one free.
Oh, yeah, still.
And so I did a thing where he was interviewing this guy, Louis Panabianco, who was in the Bronx. His wife was from the old country. She didn't speak English. He had a daughter who needed an operation because she walks like a duck. And he was not happy that he had to give away half of the ice cream every Wednesday. And so, of course, Tom Carvel would interview him and I would play all the parts. And hello, my name is Tom Carvel, and I own the Carvel Ice Cream Supermarket, where you can get the super rich, super smooth Carvel ice cream. Just want to say goodbye to everybody out there in Governor Land. Thank you for watching, even though Tony's a little hard on the eyes. You had the benefit of fucking, and what's your name?
Rosie.
Robin. and be here next week when there'll actually be a guest you're going to want to watch and listen to. Instead of some fat guy with white hair who is not very polite. Wednesday or Sunday, you buy one, get one free. Caramel ice cream. Thank you, Tommy, for a great interview and for being you, because the people who aren't you are just not the same.
No, they're not.
That's what he sounded like in those commercials. Oh,
I actually got to
fantastic.
meet him at a benefit.
Really?
Somewhere, I'm trying to find it. I got a photo of me and him together.
Oh, that's funny.
He got, after I did the bet, at the benefit, and then afterward he came up, he said, I don't know who he was doing, but that doesn't sound like me at all.
Pat A says, I just got here. Nice to see Rob sorta, kinda in the live, and a mention of Victor Spinetti. Yeah, okay. All right. Thanks, Pat. Don't know who you are. Is that one of yours?
No.
No? Okay. Thanks, Pat. Fremder, of course, was watching. Jeff Skelsey, Jeff Posey. All right. That was great. May 22nd at the Huntington Arts Cinema. Huntington Cinema Arts Center.
Right.
I have no class.
So Thursday night, what are you doing? Nothing.
Exactly, which is
Come
why I'm
see
going
it.
there.
There's a lot of clips, a lot of stories, and
It's going to be great.
And it should be some fun.
Very nice. Thank you, Mr. Bartlett, sir. Always
Thank
a
you,
pleasure.
Anthony.
Always a pleasure. And thank you, of course, Rosie.
Thank you.
Thank
Putting
you.
it in my calendar.
I'll see
Nice.
you. I'll see you next Friday.
Yep. Okay. All right. Works for me. Okay. So today is Friday. We got Donversations tonight with Don Sill. Boom. There he is.
You love that cube.
I do love. Every time I say his name, I have to show his face on the cube. And then I think Don and I might be in here tomorrow night. I think I'll post it if we are. You around?
I'm gonna be here.
She's gonna be here.
Oh, that's right. What am I thinking?
Even I remembered that.
So, all right, perfect. Stop in.
I'll come in here with Kiki.
Try and get him in here. He usually doesn't come in, that son
I'll
of a bitch.
drag his ass in here.
Well.
He's not hard to wrangle. He doesn't look like a fast runner.
Yeah, but you get a hernia, you drag his ass.
That's okay.
He's a, yeah. Who else is playing here this weekend? So we got Governors in Levittown. We got the Giggle Room. We got the Brokerage in Belmore. McGuire's out in Bohemia. Some of the comedians you'll see on the Governor's stage this weekend. John Pizzi, Frank Spadone, who's great. Jack Adam, Courtney Otero, Dan Wilbur, Rosie Fiumara, Michael Keegan, Tommy Edwards, Mike Kurz, Kenise Circa, Orson Morris, Joey Callahan, and Anthony Rodillas doing some shows at...
And Peter Anthony.
And Peter Anthony, what,
He's
tomorrow
so
with you?
funny. I love him, yeah.
I've known Peter for a long time. I haven't seen his stand-up, but I've known him for like 20 years.
You have to come
I do. I have to come see him.
He's absolutely hilarious.
Now,
Go ahead.
so May 22nd, is there anything else going on with you?
I'm going to be doing some gardening.
Perfect.
I'm focused on that. I'm writing a book about acting.
Oh.
It's called How to Act More Gooder, which details my process.
And speak much more better.
Exactly.
And you felt like you had to add to that joke.
Well, you know, I don't know. He's
Here's the
vacuuming.
thing: you got to know when to leave it the fuck alone. Okay.
You got Cameron vacuuming.
Well,
it's
yeah,
a high class operation here.
Absolutely.
But to be honest with you, I give you a hard time all the time, and because first of all, it's a lot of fun to make you laugh. You have a great laugh, and I always enjoy making you laugh.
Oh, I thought he was talking to you. Oh, thank you, pal. Well, that's
She's
right.
a useless appendage.
I'm like a spleen. They take it out.
Put that in your act. That's a funny line.
That was a funny line.
I'm like a spleen. I like that. I'm going to steal it. Anyway,
Roger Gentron says, "Hey Rob, can't wait to see you on May 22nd."
Roger Gendron from back in the Jimmy Comedy Alley days. Oh, jeez. Hey, Roger.
Hi, Roger.
How's Holly? Seriously, I got to say you've always been very supportive and very, very kind to me. And I decided that, especially in my advanced years, to just be sincere and tell people when I really appreciate them, because I've had too many friends pass before I had the opportunity to to do that. And so I just made it a point that I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to make sure that I give what it's due. I had kind of an epiphany. I had during COVID, remember when everybody was having weird dreams during COVID?
That whole thing, everything about that time was
But
weird.
I remember the weirdest dreams. And I had this dream where I was walking on a beach, and across the water, like on the horizon, it was almost like this slideshow of these moments of my life. And in each one of the moments, because there were some great ones, the birthdays of my kids, wedding, things I've done in my career, there was someone in each one of those images who, in the dream, I don't even remember what it looked like, I recognized as God. And then there were these odd little ones where there were awful moments, like, when I first had my surgery, when my brother was killed in an automobile accident, when my mom passed, and God was not there in those moments. And I turned, and the guy who I recognized as God was walking next to me, and I said, why were you there at all the good times, but you weren't there during the bad times? And God turned to me and said, it's all about you, fat boy, isn't it?
I'm dead.
I never know, like, how to, until he's done, like, how to react.
That's what we call schmecting.
That was excellent. Rob Bartlett, ladies and gentlemen.
Bravo.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's see how it works here.
Bravo.
We'll, yeah, there it is. We will see you guys. Well, like I said, Don and I might be in here tomorrow night. We will definitely see you Monday. Coffee with the Dog Monday at 9. I'll be here with Jeff and Tyler Monday at 11. Tuesday, I'll be in here with Diane. I have a hypnotist is coming in. He's going to hypnotize me on the air.
Are you going to make you funny?
Hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. As was that English? Thanks for hanging out with us as we went a little late. We appreciate it.
What else are they doing, really? If they're watching it in the first place, it's not like they have an appointment.
Exactly. Yeah, believe me, nobody knows that better than me. Bosie says, yeah, you didn't see that coming. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I kind of did. But you never know. You never know.
I didn't.
So, you didn't. No, you
just
didn't.
having a moment. I'm so tired and emotional lately. I'm fine with that.
Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you guys again. This is just so much fun. All right, we'll see you guys later. Take care.